Hi jewelers, diamond and color stone traders, consumers as well as those who are learning the diamond grading and gemology, students. Let me welcome you to my YouTube channel, that is Universal Gems and Diamond Expert, और मैं हूँ आपका professional gemologist. Today's topic is related to the diamond proportions. That means we are going to compare the ideal cut proportions with heart and arrow cut proportions. Now before we start the today's topic, let me bring it to your notice that we are a professional gemology institute in Zaveri Bazaar, Mumbai, and we are conducting courses on diamond grading, identification and valuation, as well as color stones identification. We are also providing reports on loose diamonds, diamond jewelry, as well as color stones identification, the mine report, as well as the treatment reports. So coming to the today's topic, that is the ideal cut versus the heart and arrow cut. The question is why I want to discuss this particular topic. The reason is I would like to bring it to everybody's notice that there is no replacement for hard work, or the experience counts a lot in this industry. This industry works a lot on the experience, and that is the reason you must learn also from the right person. You have to also learn from the experienced person. Then only you can succeed in any industry. Now, coming to this ideal cut first. Let me discuss the ideal cut first. What is this ideal cut? Ideal cut has been suggested, or ideal cut proportions has been suggested by Mr. Tolkosky more than 40-45 years back, purely by his own experience. And whatever he has suggested, the proportions that he has suggested out of his experience, even today they fit perfectly in the cut industry, the diamond cut industry. So you can imagine what experience he must have had, what study and research he must have done for the diamonds. Now what he has suggested, let us understand what are the proportions he has suggested. Now he said considering your diameter as 100%, the table length should be anything between 53 to 57%. Your crown height should be around 16.2%. The pavilion depth should be about 43.1%. Girdle could be anything between 1.5 to 2%. The related crown angle he has suggested is around 34.5 degrees, and the pavilion angle he has suggested about 40.75. That means just below 41 degrees. So 41 degrees. So this particular proportions what he has suggested is to get the best out of the diamond after cutting and polishing. That means to get the best brilliancy out of the diamond, there has to be a balance between luster, dispersion and scintillation of the diamond. And these proportions he has suggested purely out of his experience, without any computer help, without any computerization, without any modeling on the computers. There was no computers at that time. There was no serine machine, or there was no such computerized programs or something like that at that time. He purely suggested these proportions out of his own experience, and you can imagine they are still working perfectly. So that is the reason I respect Mr. Tolkosky a lot throughout my life. Now in fact, in India also we had a people like Tolkosky who would give the ideal cut out of their own experience, and they can get you the best out of the diamonds. I would like to introduce, or I would like to take here the names of Mr. Anandada Palshetkarji. He was an unbelievable cutter, or in fact he had a unit where he never had used a Sarin machine or any such programs, computerized programs. They used to plan the diamonds for cutting and polishing by themselves. That means everything was manual. So planning was manual, the cutting and polishing, the sawing, cleaving, whatever you say, everything was going manual, and still they were giving the best out of the diamond, whether you talk in terms of proportion, whether you talk in terms of percentage of yield, or whether you talk in terms of the brilliancy of the diamond. So you can imagine their experience, unbelievably experienced these people were. I would like to take one more name here, that is Mr. Dinanath Bhau Guhagarkarji. In fact, both this diamond faculties, I consider them as my gurus or my sadgurus, because I have learned my diamond cutting, polishing, my the planning, cleaving, sewing, everything under these two gurus, and they were unbelievable. The experience what I've got studying under them or working under their factories was unbelievable, and that is the reason I'm able to survive today in the industry for such a long period. So that is why I would like to suggest that whoever is learning today gemology, they must learn from the right person, from the right gemologist, at the same time from the right trader who has a lot of knowledge. So the statement is experience counts a lot, and experience means a lot of things. So now if we compare his proportions, what he has suggested, Mr. Tolkoshky, with now this new concept of heart and arrow cut. They say that if you cut the diamond in a heart and arrow proportions, you will get the best out of the diamond. And the proportions what they have suggested are like this. Considering the girdle length as 100%, they have suggested table anything between 53 to about 58%, it could be even 59% also. The crown height what they have suggested is between 13 to 16%. The pavilion depth could be anything between 42 to 44%. Girdle thickness could be anything between say 1.5 slightly thin to slightly thick. And the crown angle, so if your crown height is between 13 and 16%, the crown angle also can vary between maybe say 33.5 to about 35 degrees or 34.5 to 35 degrees. Same thing will happen with the pavilion angle also. There will be a variation or there will be a range of pavilion angle. So as you see, if you compare the heart and arrow cut with the ideal cut what Mr. Tolkoshky has suggested are the fixed proportions. Like say for example pavilion depth, he says it should be 43.1% or 43%, whereas heart and arrow cut says it can be anything between 42 to 44. So as far as heart and arrow proportions are concerned, it's a variation or it's a range of proportions what they have suggested by doing a lot of computerization, by studying the diamond, by giving different proportions, doing a lot of data collection on the computer, and using different computer modeling and programs. Whereas Tolkoshky had nothing. He suggested everything out of his experience. Now the question is, what is this heart and arrow cut or heart and arrow proportion? Now if you cut these diamonds, round brilliant cut diamonds, in heart and arrow proportion, which I just said, if you see such diamonds through an instrument called heart and arrow scope, if you see them from the table view, they will show 8 arrows running from culate towards the girdle in symmetry in 8 different directions. At the same time, if you see the same diamond from pavilion view, it will show you 8 geometric heart shapes which are in circle in symmetry. So this is the reason why it is called heart and arrow cut, because when you cut within this heart and arrow proportions, you get to see heart and arrows through what is called heart and arrow scope, and they call it the best cut as on today. So if you realize that over these years, over these 40 years, lot of scientists tried whether the Tolkosky proportions can be replaced, but whoever suggested whichever proportions, the Tolkosky's proportions had fit within all those proportions. So you can imagine the experience Mr. Tolkosky had and the unbelievable research he had done at his level, and this is the reason I respect Mr. Tolkosky, Mr. Palshetkarji and Mr. Guhagarkarji also for their efforts and the way they must have learned and the way they must have been delivering the things. Unbelievable. It was unbelievable. And I must be one of those lucky person or lucky gemologists who have studied under Mr. Dada Palshetkarji as well as Dinanath Guhagarkarji. Now the question is, there was another cut which was suggested, which was known in the market as Farcha cut, which was basically to get the maximum luster. Now here what they used to do is just to keep the table little larger so that the diamond will shine a lot. But unfortunately what happens, that when you increase the table to about 65%, 67%, well, you may increase the luster, you may increase the light returns from the table, but that spoils the dispersion which comes from the crown, that also imbalance the scintillation. So when this diamond grading became more and more popular, and when everybody started demanding excellent or triple excellent cut, that is your polish, symmetry and proportions, everything excellent, slowly this Farcha cut suddenly disappeared from the market and everybody started coming to the ideal cut. And that is why the ideal cut is so important, and that's where the knowledge and the experience counts. I hope this small video which I created on ideal cut and heart and arrow cut proportions was clear to you, and I hope you have enjoyed this video and you have realized what is the importance of experience and learning from the right person in this industry is so important. Thank you very much.